Tonight on the Black Channel, the continuation of a new black media tradition here. White supremacy does not take a holiday, and neither do we. Now, folks, I'm going to be just totally forthcoming and honest with you here. I know what you want to talk about. For those of you who've been following me on Twitter, you have seen how the white supremacists have been beside themselves. I know what you want to talk about, but this is our July 4th program. And the issue is, I try to do things a little bit different as far as that's concerned. I'll touch on it briefly, but there's some other things I want us to deal with. We are going to do an entire program about this, if for no other reason than it drives the white supremacists insane. I mean, this has just sent them screaming over the edge. They have just been beside themselves, and it has been delicious. Cookie! It's been delicious to see that. And like I said, I gotta see how I want to handle this, to be totally honest. So we may touch on this briefly, but I really want to do an entire program about this without anything else intruding on it. And that's kind of important to me here. It's very important to me here. So we're talking about the 4th of July. Let's go ahead and deal with some free speech issues here. All right, so a professor at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, she won a lawsuit, $1.9 million, because there's one of these places that wanted to make an issue. We're going to fire somebody for telling the truth about Charlie Kirk. Oh, they are beside themselves. Do you all realize the L's are just stacking up? This is when you overplay your hand. This is what happens. You see, when you're winning, you're supposed to take it slow and easy. Sometimes there'll be big things, but this idea that you're just going to overturn society and you're going to institute some white supremacist, tyranny and whatnot. You overplay your hand, and then you start doing stupid things that are inevitably going to get rolled back. And the next thing you know, you just start having a parade of L's. You just start having a parade of losses. So I'll be opening up the lines here in a little bit so I can get you all's thoughts about, for the 4th of July here, Charlie Kirk would have wanted us to have some free speech, and we'll definitely be doing that. Also, this story here from Complex, and this is in the files of Keep Your Children Away from These White Supremacists. Keep your kids away from these white supremacists. Brother Neely Fuller taught us that you hop into bed with them and you are confused. You might be on the pipe. You might be other things, but you hop into bed with them and then you are confused. The issue is that they hop into bed with you and they did not get out confused. Only now they've got the ability to damage your children beyond all belief. And Richard Pryor's daughter, after all these decades, is informing the world that her mother called her a little nigger and never apologized. This is more common than you all think, particularly when it comes to the bedwench community. We have different conversations about this kind of thing today. We're having different conversations because the civil rights generation, no disrespect, but the civil rights generation was concerned and obsessed with interracial sexual access to a disturbing degree. Absolutely disturbing. And then you start coming back decades later and you realize what in the world is going on and what they subjected the children to and what they've done. And you start realizing that's not a minor matter. That is not a minor matter when that starts occurring. I want to go into that for a moment here because on this 4th of July, when people ask about who we are and how we feel and what we give our allegiance to. I want to have an opportunity to go ahead and address that with them right quick. And I think this is a perfect example of that. From Complex, and they're not the only place, a number of different places we're talking about this, but the Complex article from Jose Martinez. Richard Pryor's daughter alleges her white mother called her the N-word and never apologized. With the release of her new memoir, Richard Pryor's daughter, Elizabeth Stortier Pryor, opened up about a childhood wound that she has carried for decades. In Something We Said, Richard Pryor, A Notorious Word, and Me, Stortier Pryor, 59, revisited an argument with her white mother, Maxine Silverman, who allegedly called her a racial slur when she was 12 years old. The comedian's daughter recalled Barbara Walters saying the N-word while interviewing her father in 1979 about the use of the word in his stand-up routine. While Pryor joked that it was not Walters' first time saying the slur, Stortier Pryor was left stunned by what she witnessed, standing out of the camera's view. According to CNN, Stortier Pryor remembered being instructed by her father to never let a white person say the N-word. According to CNN, Stortier Pryor remembered being instructed by her father to never let a white person say the N-word. Quote, I don't know if there's anyone appearing whiter than Barbara Walters in that moment with her bouffant hairstyle, hair, pink lips, pink clothes, and daintiness, she told CNN. And she's here with my father using the N-word as he calls her out for it. I wasn't sure what's going to happen. Looking back at the incident with her mother, Stortier Pryor said, who is now a professor of history at Smith College, told People that she does not want to reduce her mother to that single moment. Quote, even with what my mom said, with the ways my mom mishandled, that's the light way of saying it, the racial dynamic in our relationship, she loved me. What? I've always known that my family has, but to be entirely honest, it's still not a conversation that I've been able to sink into and have with them, perhaps on the level that I would like to. In an interview with NPR's Fresh Air, Stortier Pryor said she has never received an apology from her mother, even though the opportunity presented itself a number of times. Quote, my mother never apologized for that, she said. I brought it up. I gave her plenty of chances. I brought it up a lot. You see, part of the sickness when you have these kind of folks out here and whatnot with their obsession with this, the first thing that they are willing to do, eager to do, desperate to do, is to sacrifice their children on the altar. And the problem is the children usually don't make it out without being terminally screwed up. I've talked about the biracial kids for decades. I will continue to do so. The immortal elder Dr. John Henry Clark talked about that, the role of the bastard, the Negro bastard in history. And I've always told you all that it's very difficult to get black folk in general to deal with the issue of white supremacy. It is even more difficult when you have somebody who you're talking about white supremacy and they're talking about their mom. You are talking about what needs to be done about white supremacy. And you can talk about the white supremacists across the street. What do you do when you're dealing with somebody, one of these mixed kids, and the white supremacist is mom? I've always told you all that you are not going to have a situation where these white mothers who subscribe to white supremacy are going to be looking at the little black girl that she brought forth from between her legs and refer to her as a beautiful black child. There's the issue. Just understand what you're dealing with there and keep that in mind. And she is still sitting here telling you, well, that's my mom and she loved me, while she's saying that. Then when you send them off in these homes and stuff, they come and adopt the kids. You go to their private schools. And anything and everything is directed and focused toward turning them into something else. So I want to have an opportunity to touch on that as a society. You see, you don't have tales of white children being around black folk and that happens. As a matter of fact, it's exactly the opposite. The white kids are around black folk and all they tell you about are the tales of how the black folk treated them as one of us. That is the story that they have. No attempts at brainwashing. No attempts at making you black. No attempts at denigrating your whiteness. Nobody does that. They come over here and there's no one attacking them, especially the children, at a genetic level. Now, maybe you might not be in love necessarily with our customs or our ways or our mores. Okay, that's fine. But what you can't say is that when white kids are raised around us, that they get targeted at a genetic level and racial level, and that it is their whiteness that is targeted. Now, that's the thing you can't say. That is as Dr. John Henry Clark called it, the beautiful humanity that we've attempted to impress on people here, and in most cases has fallen on deaf ears. But I wanted to take an opportunity to remind you all of that. And after all these decades, if you think that goes away, that does not. And in many cases, the mixed children sit here doing like Candace Owens, and they make excuses for these things that happened, even with it happening right in their presence. They see that and hear that and then tell you that it does not mean what it means. Which is the point. That's the whole point of historically what they call the mulatto class. That's the whole point of it. So on this 4th of July, we're taking a moment and some time to observe that and recognize that that's been a tool used by the oppressors for centuries. It's not accidental. It's never been accidental. Not at all. Now, I want to go into the files here. What I want to do here for a moment is I want to go ahead and check in with the white supremacist males. Just to remind you all that if you thought that I was wrong a couple years back when I told you that the white supremacists are targeting the women and that that's not going to go away, that there's going to be a steady drumbeat specifically and particularly against the women, if you were under any illusions about that. Case in point, Matt Walsh, white supremacist extraordinaire, who lately has just become a laughingstock unto himself. But here he is posting the worst Supreme Court justices of all time have all been women. That's just a fact. Republican presidents should take the hint. He didn't spare no blows on that. He said the worst Supreme Court justices of all time have all been women. That's just a fact. Now, this is very interesting for Matt Walsh to say. Let me explain something here. Because immediately folks started pulling invoices. Said, is this you, Matt? The most shocking aspect of 2020 is that the Amy Coney Barrett Supreme Court confirmation process has been remarkably easy and smooth, all things considered. We were all expecting a fight to the death, and it hasn't materialized. Amy Coney Barrett was a bulletproof choice. Now, there were some folks in there who tried to defend that and say, well, he didn't say that she was a good choice. It's just saying that she was an easy choice to get through. So remember, that's how white supremacists do. White supremacists sit up here and start making excuses for everything and then start throwing stuff out there. And that's the whole purpose of it there is that, oh, well, they said these things, but it doesn't really mean what they said that it means. It doesn't really mean that. And that dovetails off of what we've been talking about here since this week. Because I want you to remember that part of it. Remember that part of it there, because they're going to twist this and turn this to whatever it is that they want to say at the time. Let me give you an example here. Now, let me go back to what I just told you. There's some folks talking about, there was some folk in there talking about, well, I mean, he wasn't saying that. So what? He's now saying he was wrong like most of us. Okay, that's not what he's saying. He didn't say he was wrong. Some folks tried to attack this, talking about, well, he didn't say she was good. And somebody else said, what about this post here? Amy Coney Barrett is an impressive judge and legal scholar. Congratulating her for being a woman seems patronizing, infantilizing, and also incredibly stupid. I don't care at all about her gender. If she had the same expertise in philosophy and was a dude, I'd be just as happy right now. By the way, in case you thought, yeah, that's him. What's your point? He said she was bulletproof choice in the context of there being no meaningful opposition. That wasn't what he meant. So white supremacists turn right around and they try to, but Jason, what about, no, we're not going to play that game. Okay. By the way, there were folks who went and pulled even more, by the way. They pulled out even more statements. So he said even more things. See, with the white supremacists, they have short-term thinking for long-term issues. They're not strategic. They're not smart. They're not brilliant. They're the dullest tools in the shed. But I'm reminding you that their definition of America is a white male dominated tyranny. It's a white male dominated tyranny. That is their goal. They're not letting that go. So anytime that the subject or issue comes up, they are going to bring things back to that. Basically what they're doing is it's a reminder. It's a reminder of, didn't we forget something? Have we forgotten about something? Did you forget that there was something that we were here to do? Have you forgotten about that? Now, there are bad things happening out there. There are bad things happening out there to them. You see, they're ultra sensitive about the women because you see, the women are the one place where they're supposed to have ownership. They're supposed to have absolute dominance where their own women are concerned, because how can you produce future white generations if the women have defected? Did you get that? How can you have future white generations if the women have defected? So it is essential that you lock down the females, get them in line, because they are essential to continuing your white empire. So Matt Walsh is very, very sensitive about this. Very, very much so, but there are other people as well. Nick the Nazi Fuentes. Oh, man. Nothing sends a white supremacist screaming over the edge like seeing, prime white real estate. Oh, can I refer to it as real estate? They are watching prime white real estate. I mean, it doesn't bother them when the ugly ones get took as much. But when they see, when they see their Charlize Therons and their Heidi Klums, when they see them with an undeniably black male, it's like the prime real estate, especially the real estate in its prime, age-wise. She's got the pick of the litter. She could be anywhere. She could be talking to anybody. And yet she goes and finds literally the biggest, blackest thing that she can. Sophie Rain. Oh, man, the white dudes, they go home, they get their baby oil, they start lathering themselves up. Sophie Rain is it. I mean, she makes tens of millions of dollars simply being desired. And, I mean, y'all see that, the selfie there? Let me tell you, what the problem is with this selfie is that is the appearance of pure. Let me go ahead and zoom in for y'all who might not be able to see that correctly. That is pure, unadulterated giddiness on her face. You can see she looks like a child. Oh, she looks like she's at the theme park about to get on that roller coaster in the bumper cars. Take a look at her face. She is beaming. Now, that ain't a fake look right there. That's real, genuine giddiness. She's like, I am right where I want to be. I am precisely where I want to. She doesn't look like she's being held hostage. She doesn't look like she's negligent. She don't look like she's stressed, pressed. She's like, hey, she looks childish like a little kid. She beaming. So you can't fake the fit. You can't fake the fit on that one. She like McDonald's. She loving it. She is loving being where she is. Well, unfortunately for her, Nick Fuentes can't stand it. Nick Fuentes, who told you that, what is he, a virgin? What? He doesn't even sleep with women like that. He doesn't even want a chick like that. And a bunch of folks say he's gay. But Nick admitted that he's not sleeping with women. He admitted that he's not really pursuing women. He's admitting that he is celibate. I'm like, okay. You are dry snitching like a mug on yourself, but okay. Well, Nick wants to speak on behalf of all white males everywhere who saw this. And after this picture got out and made the rounds and she posted online to let y'all know she got everything, Sophie said, I'm glad I got the bag together. I have my choice of men everywhere and I have made my choice. Well, let's weigh in to see how Nick feels. How is Nick taking this?
Fresh Boys and $25. Don't lie about wanting to move to Miami for the boys. We know the real reason is to be closer to Sophie Rain.
Oh, yeah. Very
Heart of the
good.
Wolf sent $100.
No, she really turned me off with the black guy, man. Like I said, I could deal with her being an OF girl. I could get past that. I could get past that.
What? Oh, I can deal with her being an OnlyFans girl. Okay, first he said that, oh, these females are totally undesirable because they're whores and sluts in this generation, and now he's all right. Well, actually, I could take her being an OnlyFans girl. All of a sudden, now it's OnlyFans ain't a problem. Okay.
Black guy, man. Like I said, I could deal with her being an OF girl. I could get past that. I could get past that. That doesn't bother me as much, but like I said, the second that she went over to the other side with that black guy, no attraction. No attraction anymore. And she goes, what? He's my friend. I can't hang out with the friend. It's like, sweetheart, you know what you're doing. Not like that. Not some black guy. Not absolutely not. What business does a pretty young girl have being friends with one of them? Absolutely.
With one of them, so for Myron Gaines and all the bootlicking slaves. Now, first of all, let's be clear about something. What is she doing with him? Nick, as if you were ever a candidate. Folks, was Nick ever in the running for a Sophie Rain?
You smoke crack, don't you? You smoke crack, don't you? Look at me, boy!
Folks, when was Nick ever in the running? When was he ever a candidate for a Sophie? It's not as if all these black men disappeared tomorrow. Sophie would be like, well, damn, let me call up Nick Fuentes. It's not like that was the situation, and it ain't like that's the situation today. Like she's looking to hang out with his cornball, old school Dick Van Dyke looking idiot self. Not Dick Van Dyke, Dick Clark. Not even a good imitation. I mean, he's salty as if he was a candidate and he was in the running, and if the brothers just wasn't in the way, Sophie would have veered over into his lane as if she's waiting on him anywhere. So it's like, dude, what are you upset about? It's not like you were a candidate. It's not like you were eligible. You're the least eligible bachelor. You're upset about dudes who are way outside of your league. And please understand, I mean, Nick is upset. He's like 5'2". He's upset because he's looking at Sophie. And then he's looking at the size of the dude behind her. I mean, this is the prototypical example of mandingo. Damn! That's what's going through Nick's pea brain right now. Oh, what's going through that little Neanderthal numbskull? He's taking a look at the size of that dude. He's imagining that fella pile driving her all around that hotel room with no hands. Damn! Nick is sitting here fantasizing that old boys, I mean with no hands. Just old fella is sitting up here giving her the tombstone pile driver with Nick just can't stand it. He can't stand the thought, can't stand the idea. It's just, this is disturbing. Nick is desperately trying to figure out how do we live this down? She's on OnlyFans, so we know you're drooling. Then you see her like this. It's like, okay. So Nick can't stand it. He's like, he don't even get girls like that. He don't even want girls like that. He's angry just looking. He's getting mad just looking. He's not even an eligible candidate. He's jealous as hell and getting mad just looking at it. Cause he's like, he's seeing a fellow who can do things he could never dream of doing. Like, what is he gonna offer her? Y'all, okay, if this fella and Nick Fuentes were in the same room, is it even a contest? What the hell is Nick offering? What the hell is he gonna give her besides a lecture?
Alrighty then.
What is he gonna give her besides a lecture and some nagging? I can bring you my book list. You can come hang out with me, because you know Nick, he don't want to listen to any black music, so you can come hang out with me and listen to Pat Boone records. Come hang out with me and we'll listen to country music. All right. That's what Nick will be doing. This is the problem with you modern white women. Man. They're losing their minds out here, dude. They're losing their minds out here. It's like, dude, what in the world are you even offering now? What are you so upset over? What were you actually offering here that she would be coming for in the first place? I know you're mad. I get that. We know you're mad, but the question is, what in the hell are you offering that you're... What are you mad over? Because it's like, okay, you're supposed to be mad when you were a candidate. It's not like you were, like she was sitting around, where Nick at? And all of his listeners, I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. I'm not done yet. There's some other stuff here. Now, I didn't post this before. Because I wanted to come back to this in the context of this. You notice these white supremacist males are getting real upset right now, and it's really bothering you. It's really bothering you. It really bothers them a lot to have to see this because they were hoping it wouldn't go this direction and wouldn't go this way. And they're having a lot of big difficulties. Having to soak this up and soak this in. When they're watching the women slip through their hands because, you see, this was supposed to be like taking candy from a baby. This was supposed to be very, very easy to do. And it has proven to be everything but. Supposed to be very, very easy to do, but it has proven to be everything but. Well, now I want to go a little bit further here. Now, before I do, I might want to get something else right quick. Bear with me here for a few moments here because I'm just letting you all know in advance. This is going to be a very jam-packed weekend here. And I just want to make sure I've got my ducks lined up. I want to make sure I have my ducks lined up for this. This is all kind of important to me. So make sure I have my ducks lined up for that. Okay. There's this guy. He's one of these white supremacists, so-called pastors. And that's another place you need to be very careful when you're sending yourselves or your children out into these places and thinking that you're dealing with the same folk or whatever. And that ain't what it is. That is not what it is. This guy here, there's a fella named Dale Partridge. Another one of these white supremacists out here. And this falls right in line with the 4th of July. Right in line with it. Now, I want to show you that he is mad. He is big mad. He is mad. He is big mad. And he about to be a lot more big mad here in just a moment. This is a video that he posted.
Yeah, probably the quickest way to buyer's remorse is to have your wife twerking like a prostitute at your wedding. But this is what black rap culture has done to American women.
Okay. So this white supremacist immediately racializes it. He doesn't blame the white women. It's black rap culture. What's the white rap cultures? So he immediately racializes it because he feels inferior, and he should. He feels inferior, and he should. So this hit him in his soul, if he had one. I mean, it hit him straight in the core. He couldn't even brace himself against it. He saw this young white female that any of them would be thrilled to be with. And then when he sees her channeling, she's like, what would the black men like if they were here? He sees her, I'm talking about prime real estate. They're not fat and ugly and Gilbert Grape looking. So it's like, oh, they're spoiling the prime rib. They're out here contaminating the damn prime rib, y'all. Now, did you notice what he didn't say? Now, the white DJ, there are no black people involved with this. That's my point. There ain't no black folk involved here. And yet he's upset with us. It wasn't a black DJ. It's not a black assembly. We are nowhere involved, and yet we are still the topic. The DJ selected the song. She likes the music. Everybody's vibing, and he makes it about us. Not about the white man playing the music. Did you get that? Oh, he holds the white male faultless. I want that to be the point you all remember. He holds the white male playing the music gleefully. He's the one with the biggest damn grin, and he ain't got a word to say about the DJ. And he lets you know that the issue is black rap culture. So the white supremacists have always used religion as their primary method of spreading their cancer. So I'm just reminding you all of exactly what that is. And that the fact that at this moment he should be discussing his fellow folks over there, but he's not doing that. Interesting.
Yeah, probably the quickest way to buyer's remorse is to have your wife twerking like a prostitute at your wedding. But this is what black rap culture has done to American women. It's basically audio poison for, sexual immorality and violence. And it has turned normal, glorious things like weddings into strip shows. It's turned many young women into kind of this rebellious harlot. And the American men, and in this case, an American husband, is just kind of sitting back and watching their whole culture die. And so I just say, stop listening to rap music and restore dignity to glorious things and ultimately repent and turn to Christ.
So the white supremacist colonizer is still pretending to be some Christian missionary, but at the core of their religion isn't Christianity, it's white supremacy. His religion is not Christianity, his religion is white supremacy, and I'm gonna fortify that here in a few moments. Now, first of all, we go straight down to the comments section, and you go straight down to the comments section there, and it's, yeah. The folks down here are not really rocking with that, You have Starling here. Once again, boy, I'm telling you, it's not going well. We are allowed to throw ass in any genre. Damn! Oh, boy. We are allowed to throw ass to any genre. Now he'll want to take away music from women too. This man is so weird. Get a life, Dale. You're trying so hard to be a divisive a-hole just so you can make money. You're way more immoral than girls twerking at weddings. Oh, boy. Oh, man. He's a effing retard. If she chose to listen to that music, whose fault is that? And also, who are the ones that promote and who owns the music industry? Muddy Waters, LOL, not one black person in that video. Are you basically saying black people have that much power over your women? So the comment section was going straight to work, eating them up there. I mean, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. However, this guy is not done yet. He wants to put out a message here to let you all know something. Why is America great? Our founding bloodlines. Is he going to speak about the black foundation of those founding bloodlines, or is it something else?
Why is America so great? Because it was founded by absolute madmen of iron conviction. I'm talking about fanatics so possessed by Christ that they hurled themselves across the Atlantic in wooden death traps with no engines, no guarantees, and no turning back. And those who couldn't hack it, they drowned, they starved, they were buried at sea. The survivors, they hit the shore like a hammer. They carved a civilization out of pure wilderness. Then more boats came. And those who couldn't make it, they rotted on the docks and they crawled back to Europe. The colonists who did make it, they rose up, they waged an entire war against the most powerful empire the world has ever known, and then they broke its spine. The strongest families pushed west like a firestorm, and they're building cities out of nothing, choking grizzly bears to death with their bare hands, and they're slaughtering savages by the thousands, and conquering every inch of untamed hellscape this continent could throw at them. And the unfit, they died again. And I point that out because America purged out weak bloodlines. And for nearly 250 years, America forged the hardest, toughest, brightest, richest, most fiercely Christian nation in human history. It was the undisputed pinnacle of Western civilization. So if you're a heritage American, this is where you come from. The absolute best, boldest, most dominant European stock ever to walk the earth. Those were your forefathers and foremothers. And now, at our 250th anniversary, we stand at this cliff. And if we don't return to Christ, if we don't restore raw biblical national order, and if we don't violently reject the demonic cancers of feminism or mass immigration or parasitic foreign interests, we're going to be the last generation to ever taste the glory of America. This is it. If you want to save America, now is the time. And by God, we will have our home again.
All right. So many lies packed into less than 2 minutes of blatant, shameless, disgusting, dishonest propaganda. First, let's go down the comments section here. Let's go down here and take a look at this. Checking to see if we have the right thing here. There's no way you believe what you just said, Dale. Respectfully. Okay. Our founding bloodlines. What? What kind of racist BS and nonsense are you trying to push? There were no bloodlines, founding or otherwise. Founding fathers weren't Christian. This guy knows nothing. Young people are over the Rabbi Yahshua grift. This is not only one of the most white supremacist things I've ever seen, it's also stunningly bad history. You idiot, we got lucky. Imagine if the Spaniards took this land, would have been completely different. Maybe, but then again, maybe not. Yeah. So some folk there got it. Purged out weak bloodlines. So if you're a heritage American, if we don't return to Christ, LOL, what does white supremacy have to do with Christianity? How does purging weak bloodlines square with the biblical view of Jesus? Good question there. Why don't we check and see if anybody explains what does purging weak bloodlines? Which part of the Bible is that? Now, all they say, sounds like you hate white people. Okay, so, in other words, he ain't got nothing. He ain't got nothing, so, yeah, they're trying that. All right, first of all, let's deal with a couple of things here. Very glad that he was sitting here saying this garbage. Why is.
Why is America so great?
Now, he didn't say why was America great on this 4th of July. And we found our white supremacist liar. On the 4th of July, why is America great? He didn't say why was America great. So he's saying that America is still currently great. Okay. Glad we solidified that.
Because it was founded by absolute madmen.
Okay, well, I think we can all agree with that one. America was founded by absolute psychos
Of iron conviction.
of iron conviction. Okay, well, if you enter an insane asylum, most of the people there have pretty strong convictions. They're very bestial and animalistic, but they got them. All right, so I think we can all at least agree he starts okay.
Talking about fanatics so possessed by Christ.
Lie. All right, here's the first one. If you caught this lie from the very beginning, give me the stop sign emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 3,500 people in here live on July 4th. If you caught that lie the very first time it came through, give me the stop sign emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me if folks are offended by it. If folks were offended by that, you can certainly be so. You can certainly go ahead and be offended by that. That's perfectly fine by me. So that's a good question for you here to ponder to yourselves, as if you caught that the first time there. That's a good question for you here, because these people sit up here and tell lies about that stuff. These folks sit up here and tell lies about that. So just consider that for a few moments here. They've created a myth. They have created a myth. And what they've been attempting to do ever since is to go back and rewrite the myth. They've attempted to go back here and rewrite the myth because, yeah, that's not really serving their interests very well. So that's the issue that you have there, is when you try to convert them into Christian fanatics and Christian evangelicals, which is what we are here for today. I could take you to many places here, but let's go ahead and take you to Britannica. On this 4th of July, let me go ahead and give you all an education about this. Let's go to Britannica, and then I'm going to take you to Britannica and beyond. So hang on tight for this. We're going to Britannica and beyond. The Founding Fathers, Deism, and Christianity. Okay. For some time, the question of the religious faith of the Founding Fathers has generated a culture war in the United States. Scholars trained in research universities have generally argued that the majority of the founders were religious rationalists or Unitarians. Pastors and other writers who identified themselves as evangelicals have claimed not only that most of the founders held orthodox beliefs, but also that some were born-again Christians, that some were born-again Christians. Whatever their beliefs, here they go covering even at the Britannica, the founders came from similar religious backgrounds. Most were Protestants. The largest number were raised in the three largest Christian traditions of colonial America: Anglicanism, as in the case of John Jay, George Washington, and Edward Rutledge; Presbyterianism, as in the cases of Richard Stockton and Reverend John Witherspoon; and Congregationalism, as in the cases of John Adams and Samuel Adams. Other Protestant groups included the Society of Friends, the Quakers, the Lutherans, and the Dutch Reformed. Three founders, Charles Carroll and Daniel Carroll of Maryland and Thomas Fitzsimmons of Pennsylvania, were Roman Catholics. The sweeping disagreement over the religious faith of the founders arises from a question of discrepancy. Did their private beliefs differ from the orthodox teachings of their churches? On the surface, most founders appear to have been Orthodox or right-believing Christians. Most were baptized, listed on church rolls, married to practicing Christians, and frequent or at least sporadic attendees of services of Christian worship. So sometimes they went to church. Most times they didn't. In public statements, most invoked divine assistance. Please understand, there's a difference between a person invoking the divine as a belief system versus a person invoking the divine as a poetic literary device. But the widespread existence in 18th century America of a school of religious thought called deism complicates the actual beliefs of the founders. Well, complicates it how? And why did you save it all the way down here? Drawing from the scientific and philosophical work of such figures as Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Isaac Newton, and John Locke, the historical John Locke, not the one from the TV show Lost, deists argue that human experience and rationality, rather than religious dogma and mystery, define the validity of human beliefs. In his widely read The Age of Reason, Thomas Paine... What? In his widely read The Age of Reason, Thomas Paine... Oh, they didn't tell you about some of the other stuff that Thomas Paine wrote, did they? Oh, yeah, your teachers back in school, they told you about Thomas Paine. Yeah, they talked about that. But they didn't mention this other book over here from Thomas Paine to you. Now, did they? Okay. All right. We'll come back to that a little bit later some other time. In his widely read The Age of Reason, Thomas Paine, the principal American exponent of deism, called Christianity a fable. What? Folks, this is Thomas Paine. Did you get that? Thomas Paine. Okay. Go back if they didn't tell you about common sense, by the way. If you want to know what he felt he was revolting over, Thomas Paine, who also wrote Common Sense and the Rights of Man, if you don't remember that. But Thomas Paine said that Christianity was a fable. Paine, the protege of Benjamin Franklin, denied, quote, that the Almighty ever did communicate anything to man by speech, language, or vision. Huh. Well, yeah. Oh boy, he didn't get the memo. You know, he just sat here going on this incredible edible rant. And meanwhile, when you check the actual facts, Thomas Paine sat up here and told you that the Almighty, he denied that the Almighty ever did communicate anything to man. Postulating a distant deity whom he called nature's God, a term also used in the Declaration of Independence. What? Somebody find these white supremacist nimrods. When you start reading these things to them, just understand they're going to start trying to walk you backwards. He's going to tell you that don't matter. So if you're going to claim that the founders were not deists, then explain to us why the leading deist among them, this phrase that he used, nature's God, is also sitting there in the middle of your Declaration of Independence. for a group of men who made it clear that they wanted there to be a distinction and a separation between the church and the state. And we can see clearly who they put at the top. They didn't put the church at the top. They put the state that they were building at the top. Okay. White supremacists are liars. They come up with a myth, and then they try to push the myth on you. Thus, deism inevitably subverted Orthodox Christianity. Persons influenced by the movement had little reason to read the Bible, to pray, to attend church, or to participate in such rites as baptism, Holy Communion, and the laying on of hands by bishops. With the notable exceptions of Abigail Adams and Dolly Madison, deism seems to have had little effect on women. The women went along with whatever the white supremacist males said, sir. The women were living under the true religion of white supremacy. So whatever the men said, they rolled with it. But deistic thought was immensely popular in the colleges from the middle of the 18th into the 19th century. Thus, it influenced many educated as well as uneducated males of the revolutionary generation. Although such men would generally continue their public affiliation with Christianity after college, they might inwardly hold unorthodox religious views. Depending on the extent to which Americans of Christian background were influenced by deism, their religious beliefs would fall into three categories: non-Christian deism, Christian deism, and Orthodox Christianity. Well, he didn't explain any of this about the founders, now did he? Not at all. The second consideration is an evaluation of the participation of a founder in the ordinances or sacraments of his church. Most had no choice about being baptized as children, but as adults, they did have a choice about participating in communion or, if Episcopalian or Roman Catholic, in confirmation. And few founders who were deists would have participated in either rite. George Washington's refusal to receive communion in his adult life indicated deistic belief to many of his pastors and peers. I didn't say folk today. We're talking about the pastors and the peers of his time, the folk of his time. These are guys today hoping that you don't know any of this or that you won't Google it, that if he makes a video with a bunch of cutscenes, that you'll just assume that because he's speaking his garbage with such conviction that it must be true because he's spouting his lies with such conviction. So he wouldn't sit there sounding so certain if he were completely lying, would he? Because please understand, there's nothing that I'm saying that he doesn't already know. He knows all this. So why is he so desperately committed to lying to you about this? Because he's trying to rally the troops. As Dr. John Henry Clark said, the Europeans who practice white supremacy like this individual, they understand the value of an origin myth to rally everyone, even if it's built on a lie. Even if they know that what they're saying is built on a lie, it is more important to rally you all around something than it is to tell you the truth. So it doesn't matter if it's a lie. It only matters that you rally. And that's the point. So if he looked into any of this, he would have immediately found this. Of course he did. He's going to disregard it because you can't change who the founders were. You can't change that. So now he's going to try to change what the founders believed. Third, one should note the religious language a founder used. Non-Christian deists such as Paine refused to use Judeo-Christian terminology and describe God with such expressions as providence, the creator, the ruler of great events, and nature's God. Founders who fall into the category of Christian deists used deistic terms for God, but sometimes added a Christian dimension, such as merciful providence or divine goodness. Yet these founders did not move further into orthodoxy and employ the traditional language of Christian piety. Founders who remained unaffected by deism, or who, like John Adams, became conservative Unitarians, used terms that clearly conveyed their orthodoxy: Savior, Redeemer, resurrected Christ. In other words, the terms that were used in the Bible. The ones who were true believers, you'd be looking for them to use the terms that were used in the Bible. The ones who broke off into these other terms, providence, nature's God, ruler of great events, it's like, oh, wait a minute, those are the deists. Which this fella is hoping that you don't know or can't make the distinction, because he's here to lie to you and deceive you if he can. Finally, one should consider what friends, family, and above all clergy said about a founder's religious faith. That Washington's pastors in Philadelphia clearly viewed him as significantly influenced by deism says more about Washington's faith than do the opposite views of later writers and 21st century propagandists with white supremacist agendas, or the cloudy memories of a few revolutionary veterans who avowed Washington's orthodoxy decades after his death. Although no examination of history can capture the inner faith of any person, these four indicators can help locate the founders on the religious spectrum. Ethan Allen, for example, appears clearly to have been a non-Christian deist. James Monroe, a close friend of Paine, remained officially an Episcopalian, but may have stood closer to non-Christian deism than to Christian deism. Founders fall into the category of Christian deists. Founders who fall into the category of Christian deists include George Washington, whose dedication to Christianity was clear in his own mind, John Adams, and, with some qualifications, Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson was more influenced by the reason-centered Enlightenment than either Adams or Washington. Orthodox Christians among the founders include the staunchly Calvinistic Samuel Adams, John Jay, who served as president of the American Bible Society, Elias Bugnot, who wrote a book on the imminent second coming of Christ, and Patrick Henry, who distributed religious tracts while riding circuit as a lawyer, clearly believed in evangelical Christianity. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you all want to go look it up, you certainly can. But what it does show is that, yeah, this guy is lying about this because he has to. They're lying about this because they have to. But we have you here on the 4th of July. We have you here on this day. And so I want to go a little bit further into this. I want to go a little bit further into this for you here, because I want you to be aware of that. I want you to be aware of exactly what that means, because a lot of folk here are going to lead you off into these things, and we don't remind folk about this because, remember, they don't really even talk about this that much. People don't even really speak about this that much, certainly not to the degree that they need to. They don't get to talk about this. Ask yourselves a question here. Ask yourselves a question. And the question is, okay, if you want to believe that the founders were so-called Christians, okay, fine. We have to ask ourselves another question here. What else were they? So the next question becomes, how many of them were Masons? What? Don't worry, we're going to dabble into that here in just a moment. Well, if you're going to try to sit up here and claim that the founders were these hardcore Christian evangelicals, then of course the next natural question it begs to ask is, how many of them were Masons? That's the next question. That's going to come in pretty doggone importantly if you're going to try and tell us that these individuals here were staunch Christians. Because that means something. That means something if you're going to try to be that there. Because if you know your history, well, that makes it kind of hard, doesn't it? Kind of hard, isn't it? Man. All right, folks, how many of you would like to look up how many of them were Masons? How many of them can be Masons? Because you do understand that most of them were Masons. We're talking about back when that actually meant something. Can you actually thread that needle? Can you actually thread that needle there? Because without that, oh man. Do you have the ability to do that? That's going to make things a little bit different here, isn't it? That's importantly. That's important there. That's important to understand that. When you take a look into certain things there, when you take a look at the founder of the Church of Satan, explain to me how it is that most of the founders of America were Masons. And Aleister Crowley started as a Mason. Can anybody riddle me that? Somebody explain to me how Aleister Crowley started as a Mason, but he did not find that to be incompatible with Satanism. Anybody? I'm not here to discuss people's myths and their falsehoods. I'm just asking a basic question that if you're going to tell us to lionize the founders, then we need to discuss what they actually believed. And he's sitting up here trying to tell you that they were Bible-thumping, Christ-obsessed Christian evangelicals, when that's just absolutely a flat-out false lie. And he knows it, but they put out videos here simply because they hope that you don't know it. But how many of you were aware of that, particularly for the younger folk here? You see about these Mason lodges, most of the old folk who go there don't really know what it's about, so I can understand you being confused. I can understand you being confused, but that actually means something. Now, let's ask a few more questions here. Let's just ask a few more questions here because that's important for us to understand. If they're going to be saying things like that. Can you be? Tell us what part of Christianity is compatible with slavery. We're preaching the doctrines and the dogmas of slavery. Now, there will be many folk, I'm saying this to the younger people in there, and for those of you who never had anybody walk this out for you, there will be individuals like this Dale Partridge who are foaming at the mouth, lying white supremacists. And they'll try to convince you that the founders, well, slavery was all over the world and the founders were just a part of that. Folks, need I remind you, slavery was a bad thing all the way back in the Old Testament. What was the single most crucial event for the children of Israel? Moses, by the hand of God, leading them out of slavery. Moses leading the children of Israel out of slavery. That wasn't a new thing. So to anybody who tries to deceive you into thinking that slavery was just accepted all the way around and that's just the way it was, that's a lie. It was not. Going all the way back to the very beginning, it was very clearly pointed out that slavery was an evil. That slavery was a sin. That slavery was an abomination in God's eyes. Why else would you send Moses to liberate the children of Israel from slavery if slavery's cool? If slavery was cool and fine and had no bearing on the character of the people who practiced it, then explain why the most seminal event for the children of Israel was to be liberated from it. All the way back to Exodus. Why is that? Don't worry, they don't want to have that conversation with you. They don't want to have that conversation with you. They don't want to have that talk with you about that part right there, that all the way back to the book of Exodus. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. If slavery was okay, if slavery was fine and this, that, and the other. They also don't want to talk about certain founders such as Benjamin Franklin. The Quakers were anti-slavery. Benjamin Franklin is one of the few who earned some respect because Benjamin Franklin was a Quaker, and the Quakers were sitting right there at the Constitutional Convention, and they were ready to walk out and leave because they did not approve of slavery. So you had founders sitting there in the room, quoting the Bible, pointing out to Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and all the others, yeah, this isn't good. We can't have slavery here. That's an abomination in the eyes of God. That's not just a little off color. That's an abomination. Especially what you're doing with Sally Hemings, Thomas. So right there at the Constitutional Convention, you had abolitionists, anti-slavery advocates sitting right there. I bring this up to say you can't claim that you didn't have somebody there to inform you. You can't claim that there wasn't someone there to tell you that there was no one there speaking on behalf of this. You can't claim that. You had folks sitting right there telling you exactly what it was, and they ignored it. Now you have individuals who were not subjected to it telling you that, well, breaking your eggs is how we made an omelet. What they're not doing are being advocates for that happening to them. They're not being advocates for that. If you're going to tell the story of the founders, you have to actually tell the story of the founders. They were not Christians. They were deists at best. They were Masons, which really kind of removes Christianity from the conversation altogether when you think about it. They were slave owners. The overwhelming majority of them were, so that removes decent men from the equation. No, if you're going to talk about the founders, you'd be talking more like people like Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, Steve Jobs. Those were the founders. No religion required. No religion required. Just understand that. In the chat room, for anybody who wants to give Ben Franklin grief, I am not here to play defense attorney. I said he can at least achieve some respect because at least he was rolling with the Quaker car. That does not mean that his hands were clean. I did not say that. However, he at least got on the good foot at some point. What about the others? So, at the very least, no, I'm not sitting here saying he was a saint. I didn't say that, so let's get off the slow bus. But at the very least, Benjamin at least found something resembling some credibility. How about the others? Because Benjamin's the one that they talk about the least now. When you're in school, they talk about Benjamin Franklin and electricity. But by the way, when you talk to these white supremacists and these nationalists, they don't mention Ben Franklin at all. Yeah, because Ben is not compatible with their message of white supremacy. You dig into Benjamin, and right below the surface is a Quaker. So Ben isn't as useful for proselytizing white supremacy. So they really want to leave him out of the discussion. But the rest of the founders, these were businessmen. They came over here to generate an economy. So the comparison would not be comparing them to Christian missionaries. That's a lie. They didn't come over here to found a church. They came over here to found an economy. Now that's the truth. They left England to get away from the church. They came over here to found an economy, not a church. So anybody trying to convince you that they were doing something different, that's the lie. It's trying to tell you that they were after something else. What you were looking at were the Elon Musks, the Larry Ellisons, the Sam Altmans, the Jack Welches. You were looking at those types of their day. That's who the founders were. They were the Jeff Bezoses of their day. Now, there's the part that nobody can argue with. If George Washington and Thomas Jefferson ended up here today, they would be right there comfortable in the C-suites today. They would pick up exactly where they left off at. Because that's what it always was. Different type of industry, more complicated, more sophisticated. But the goals and the aims and the tools, everything is still there. So these were not the Christian missionaries of their day. These were the robber barons and oligarchs and the capitalists of their day. And they found a faraway virgin territory that hadn't been taken over by the monarchy that they could use as a staging ground for rebellion and to grab all the resources, which is why he sits up here and makes light of that. Now, I know a lot of y'all sat up here and saw that.
Slaughtering savages by the thousands and conquering out of nothing, choking grizzly bears to death with their bare hands, and their slaughter nothing, choking down, and then they broke its spine.
Nigga, what?
They rose up, they waged an entire war against the most powerful empire the world has ever known, and then they broke its spine.
Is this lying ass sitting up here suggesting that 13 colonies in the U.S., quote unquote, broke the spine of Great Britain? Broke its spine is what he just told you. I'm talking about telling big lies, not little lies. I mean, just flying straight over the edge. As I told you all, they create a fiction and they don't just do it small. This guy just decided to go full Paul Bunyan lying.
The strongest families pushed west like a firestorm.
The strongest families pushed west. Who are these families? Who are these families he's referring to? What the hell is he talking? The strongest families. Who were they? So once again, we're creating myths.
They're building cities out of nothing.
They were building cities out of nothing. Name a single one of these cities that was made out of nothing, because that's a lie throughout history. You have to find a body of fresh water. You gotta have that. So many of your states, by the way, if you notice, when you're going over the interstate, when you cross from one state to another, you're crossing over a bridge, you're crossing over a river. My truckers out there, or anybody who does road tripping like I do, you notice they're going from one state to another. You tend to be on the freeway, and then when you go over this bridge, when you're in one state on one side of the river, and then on the other side, you're in another state. So that's the way that cities have been set up and settled on for millennia. Because without water, you're not getting anything going. So, of course, he's talking about out of nothing. So, yet another lie, because they're not even the ones who did it. So he's leaving all that out. They're not even the ones who did it. What do you say? If I'm going to tell this lie, I'm going to tell a big one.
Choking grizzly bears to death with their bare hands. Nothing. Choking grizzly bears to death with their...
I guess he just decided to just start rage baiting. I guess. I mean, unless he's talking about bear cubs, I guess he just decided to start rage baiting. Let me just say the craziest, most outlandish stuff I can come up with. Let me just do that. The movie The Revenant. Anybody who watched that Leo DiCaprio movie, The Revenant, that's what happened when these colonists ran up on a bear. That right there. All you heard was screaming and begging for your life. He's talking like they strangled grizzly bears the way that you would chase grasshoppers off your front steps. I mean, these white supremacists are entertaining, if nothing else.
Nothing. Choking grizzly bears to death with their bare hands.
I guess he just decided, if I'm going to act a fool, let me just act all the way the fool. Let me just be the whole fool. If I'm going to be a fool, let me just be the whole fool. Strangled grizzly bears with their bare hands. Brothers and sisters from around the world, as black folk, you got stories in your family. Some of y'all might have some colorful stories in your family. All hands up who got a story in your family about your great Uncle Jack who strangled a grizzly bear with his hands, who put a tiger in the figure four, who used to catch rattlesnakes in between his toes, who wrestled a bull, and he used to grab the bison and used to break their necks like chickens and strip them. How many of y'all got that story in your families? I want to know whose family is passing that story down, because we don't really do that. We don't really do that. We might talk about, hey, this fella here, he used to eat a whole bunch of beef, but how many of y'all thought it was necessary in your families to create that tale? We got stories about folk who left the plantations. Ain't nobody having, my great-great-great-granddaddy, he killed a moose with one punch, boy. Yeah, he killed a moose with one punch. That's how my family got to Wisconsin. All of y'all would be sitting there looking at him like,
Nigga, what?
I wish y'all would be sitting, my great-great-granddaddy, he killed a moose with one punch. That's how we ended up in North Dakota. When he killed the moose and then stripped it for fur, and then in the middle of winter, he started building a house while wearing the moose fur coat. That's what the white supremacist would tell you. The white supremacist would spin that tale. People, have y'all seen the size of a damn moose? Go take a look at some of these YouTube videos. You go take a look at the size of a moose, and then you figure that they can run? Let me tell you, one of the scariest damn things in the world is seeing a moose. Them things can gallop like horses. They're twice the size of a horse and just as fast. You see them in the damn cartoon, you think a moose is going to be moving all slow. Y'all need to go look up some of those videos about moose online. When them things start moving, it's like, oh, he on your ass. It's like, oh, man. Ain't nothing slow about him. I mean, he's galloping like a horse, twice as big as a horse and just as fast. Got you here talking about this. My great-great-great-granddaddy knocked one out. It's like, okay. Man, if you don't stop. The moose, the bison, and these folk coming here telling you and me, creatures that could knock your car over. The elks, creatures that could knock your car over. And talking about strangle them with your bare hands. I mean, he got on Twitter saying this in a video. Like this is the damn Disney Channel. And then you wonder why it is that the white girls would rather be at the disco dancing to some black music. She's tired of the damn tall tales. At least Drake can tell you he sold them albums. At least Drake ain't arguing. At least he ain't lying about that. At least Kendrick Lamar ain't lying about that. At least the brothers ain't lying about what they done did. At least these are true stories. This jackass here is just freestyling off the top of the dome, just saying the craziest stuff. Can you imagine a woman having to sit next to his ass while he's sitting up here coming up with this garbage? No, at least Soulja Boy done did it. Greatest walkout ever. At least Soulja Boy is a true story. Can you imagine sitting next to these white supremacist males? He wants to sit up here and spin you his damn anime manga story. And you a female having to sit there next to him while he's telling y'all got visitors for Thanksgiving and he's sitting up here telling the damn folks about this damn lie about his great Uncle Henry. The damn, you sitting there, she's starting to sing in her chair embarrassed because he's about to tell this damn false ass story about the bear. He can't just say that Uncle Henry moved to Texas. Uncle Henry moved to Kentucky. He used to strangle bears with his bare hands. And he was a rough man. I know folks don't believe it, but it's true. Back then we had manly men. Yeah, back then you had manly men. Today we got you. What would Uncle Henry think of his damn bloodline if he looked forward and saw you? It's like, I'll be damned. I strangled the damn bear and here this little old sissified bastard is come out.
And they're slaughtering savages by the...
Now, this right here, this is the most egregious. This right here is the most egregious. I want you to understand that. This is the most egregious part. Right here. Let us be clear about something by their own admission. By their admission, not ours, by their admission. They would have died had it not been for the natives, you know, us. They would have died had the natives not had mercy on them and saved them. They were not ready for the climate. They were not ready for the conditions. I need you all to understand something. There is so much garbage that this guy said here. So much garbage. It's absolutely stifling. Some of y'all might want to look into those things. Some of y'all might want to look into those things. See, a lot of these folks up here are spinning you lies and narratives about stuff, about animals that ain't even from places that they're from. And they're going to tell you that they were ready for that. They're going to sit up here and tell you that they got off the damn boat ready for it. That's what the hell they're going to tell you. They're going to start spinning myths about what they were prepared for. By their own admission, it was the natives who saved them from famine. It was the natives who saved them from starvation. It was the natives who saved them from dying. If they were ready for that when they got here, then why is it they have repeated tales of the natives saving them from it? If they were so ready when they got here. You want to know what the ultimate act of betrayal is? There are zero, nada, none. Folks, I want you to ask yourselves a question. Please name for me the story of any American native, foundational Black American, or otherwise, who left American soil, went to Europe, and betrayed the Europeans when they got there. I'll wait. To all the white supremacists and the white supremacist sympathizers, tell me the story of the people here who did what they did. They got there on your soil, among your children, spreading smallpox blankets. Tell me, at what point did they repay your generosity and hospitality with ambush? When did they do that? When did they do that? Now, I also want you to know these white supremacists are subhuman trash, this Dale Partridge, because I want you to listen to the language that he uses here. Language is important. Listen to how he weaves this language.
To death with their bare hands, and they're slaughtering savages by the thousands and conquering every inch of untamed hellscape this continent could throw at them.
Now, did you notice the wording that he just used? They're slaughtering savages. Well, how can you have a problem with them slaughtering savages? Okay, so the Native Americans who helped you all out with farming, were they the savages too because you slaughtered them also? So they slaughtered savages, and yet
Slaughtering savages by the thousands and conquering
the land. Why didn't he say conquering the savages? You notice that he says slaughtering savages and conquering land. This he thinks he's tricky. He's not. But this white supremacist lowlife is, just notice the wording he used there. That's deliberate. Slaughtering savages, conquering land. Why didn't he say conquering the savages and the land? Why didn't he say that? Because people are not proud of it, because they know that the Native Americans were not savages. If they were no worse savages than you. They were no worse than you. Oh, no, folks. I'm not making that up. People, remember the Salem witch trials?
What?
You do know that that was just the most famous incident. It wasn't the only one. You do know that, don't you? You do know that that wasn't the only one. Did you understand that? The Salem witch trials were just one among many. Well, they had a whole bunch of ways out there to go after people. Whole bunch of reasons to do that. And they had a whole bunch of nightmarish ways to kill you. Did you understand that? He's not going to educate you about that part, now is he? About what they were doing back then if you ran afoul of the church or the state. No soliloquy or lecture about that part. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to have a conversation about that? Nothing? Nothing at all? No, not a word? We're done with that? Because he's not taking out any time right now to say that. Folks, I'm not even talking about the Crusades. I'm talking about right here in North American soil. I'm talking about right here on North American soil. Okay. Do they remind you about that? No, nothing? Okay. Nothing at all? All right, we'll just leave that where it is. I'm sure that there's nothing to it. I'm sure there is. Who are the savages? I'm not even going to include the slave plantations. Folks, I'm being kind. I'm going to leave that gigantic low-hanging fruit, I'm going to leave that off the list. I'm going to leave that off the list totally. Oh, man. There's certain things that you don't really want to get into this savagery thing. You really don't want to get into that. Yeah. You don't really want to get into that. They used to brand people. They were whipping people and flogging them. They were maiming them. Some places out there, they were chopping off folks' body parts, chopping off hands. Are you a thief? Savagery much? Who's the savage? Somebody who's going to throw out smallpox blankets? The natives were never that efficient. Who even thought about it? You all tell me, who among them would even think of something like that? Who would even think of spreading a communicable disease? Who among them would even think that way? Who are the real savages here? What happened on the plantations if you were a slave who ran away too often? You want to talk about the savages. What happened to you if you were the slaves who ran away too often? What happened to you? Hell, what if you were a slave who was too disobedient? You think that you're not the savage because you have a usefulness, resourcefulness doctrine that you enforce? Who are the savages here? Who are the savages? How many Native Americans got themselves killed when the settlers came through and had the right to just shoot you on the spot? Because what is it that set off the natives to fighting these folk? It wasn't the natives encroaching on their territory. Who are the savages? The Trail of Tears? Who are the savages here? Who are the savages doing that here? But I also want you to understand something else. This is the real demonic aspect of this guy and his like, his ilk. Please understand, he is proud of this. He doesn't show a white man doing this, by the way. He is proud of this. Now, here's where we run into the issue. It's 2026, and the barbarism, the treachery, the dishonesty, the lack of morality, he's proud of that part. That part right there. He's proud that he comes from a people who can look you in the face and lie to you. Look you in the face and do unspeakable, horrific things. That's the part of his, quote, America that he's proud of. He's proud of that part. Not the fact that you're dead, but what they were willing to do to kill you. He considers those to be good things. It's good that we can stalk you. It's good that we can round you up by the millions. It's good that we can slaughter you by the millions. It's good that we can kill the children and the women. It's good that we can do that. That's a plus for us. That's a sign that we're fit. He likes that part. The barbarism, the debauchery, the brutality, that part. Stack the bodies up as high as a mountain. That is achievement. So please understand what he's telling you is that he's proud of that part of it. He's proud of being able to do that, the inhumanity of it. He's proud of that. Then he goes on with, by the way, Darwinism and the unfit. Brothers and sisters, please point me to the part of the Bible that characterizes people as unfit to survive. There are people who can do things that you are such a problem that you're going to be executed. That's not what he's talking about. He's literally talking about unfit to survive. Well, that's Darwinism. What he's describing is Darwinism, which I thought that was the polar opposite of Christianity. But once again, in the words of our immortal ancestor, Brother Neely Fuller, white supremacy always takes both sides of the argument. So do you see how this so-called Christian fundamentalist is weaving in Darwinism with his belief system seamlessly? He's not fighting Darwinism, he's embracing it and telling you that the great Christian founders, while part of that is Darwinism, which would be the exact polar opposite of Christianity. Oh, why is it we don't get to have a conversation about the accolades and the pros of Darwinism. Let's discuss the virtues of Darwinism now. Since he's talking about the unfit, please tell me, when did Christ ever discuss the unfit? Jesus said, bring me the least of these. We're going to help the blind to see. Folks, unfit. Jesus said, we're going to help the blind to see and the crippled to walk. Well, that's the unfit. Why are the white supremacists so repugnant and reviled? Jesus specifically said we need to have mercy on the widow and her children, and that we need to have mercy on the unfit, the handicapped, the leper. He didn't say leave them to die. He didn't say they're unfit. Meh, God's done with you. He said exactly the opposite. You need to focus your attention on them. He didn't describe them as the unfit. They were the ones needing help. Way before there was any idea that this continent was even here. The man that he's saying inspired the founders, which he's lying about, that man would have been absolutely appalled at this. This isn't just a bastardization. This is a complete refutation. And then you're claiming to do it in his name? The Bible says something about folks who operate that way. The unfit. When Jesus specifically focused on having mercy on the lame, the handicapped, the blind. And so he turns right around and says Darwinism. Starts off about Christ, and then we go veering clean off the highway into Darwinism. That's why I explained to you from the beginning, this is not about facts, this is not about truth, this is about white supremacy, this is about rallying the troops. It has nothing to do with what's real.
They died again, and I point that out because America purged out weak bloodlines.
America purged out weak bloodlines. What the hell is he talking about? Weak bloodlines. Let me ask a question here. So what qualifies as a weak bloodline? Were these savages who were giving y'all hell, were those weak bloodlines? What define exactly what makes them weak bloodlines? What the hell is this?
America purged out weak bloodlines. And for nearly 250 years, America forged the hardest, toughest, brightest, richest, most fiercely Christian nation in human history.
By posting up folks who weren't even Christians. I find this all to be very interesting.
Christian nation.
I find this all to be very interesting because, you know, they love talking about power.
America forged the hardest, toughest.
They love talking about power and the richest nation. I mean, that goes to Christianity right there, doesn't it? Well, before this, they were talking about the Romans. Before this, they were discussing about the Romans. They were holding up the Romans as the paragon of the height of civilization. So do you all see that this is a mantra and this is a scheme that just keeps getting recycled? Did you notice that? The Phoenicians, the Greeks, the Romans. And then you come to America and they claim, oh, we're the richest one. Well, I mean, that title of riches gets passed around. The British Empire had it before then, the Ottoman Empire, you know, that keeps getting passed around. Without any real context, by the way. All right, folks, let me give you a brief history lesson here on the 4th of July. Let me go ahead and give you a brief history lesson here. How did America become the richest nation in the world today? It wasn't because of having the best and brightest. That was not the case. Not the way that he's presenting it. America, first of all, utilized slavery in a way, if you want to call that best and brightest. They utilized slavery in a way and at a time that was so advantageous nobody else could. You had a system of capitalism as opposed to all the other systems you had before it. And they used slavery with a ruthless efficiency, and they had cash crops that before then were simply not available. The first cash crop, of course, being tobacco. And then we go on from there. So first and foremost is the economy of slavery, to a level and to an extent that no other nation ever had. By the way, I'm sure he's going to tell you that there was nothing savage or barbaric about slavery. He's going to tell you that those were the good old days, because that's, of course, what a good Christian would do. A good Christian would sing the praises of slavery. So first and foremost, let's start with the advent of slavery. Let's also include the fact that the European powers were fighting with each other so much that much of their wealth was being squandered on attempting to maintain their empires. So you had water flowing out the bottom of the bucket. North America was extremely fortuitous because North America was far away from Europe and Asia. So you needed to keep North America under control, but at that time it was very difficult to do that because America was protected by oceans on both sides, which made them extremely inconvenient to attempt to manage, much less to oppress. It would be very expensive to keep those colonists in line because it's not like you could just march a few hundred miles and go put the smack down. No, you have to go sail a whole bunch of people over there in ships, and this is tough. This is tough. You're already leaking war all over the place. So this place is extremely fortuitously located, which was what they were hoping for, and that's what they found once we kill off everybody else here. So barbarism, savagery, so on and so forth. A unique geographic location that others had been denied because they were settled earlier in human history in that way. We're not going to get into the river and the ocean and whatnot. We're just going to stick to the European aspect of their narrative of history. Next up is you come to a period and a point in time, because America is a beneficiary of this. You're able to do new things with metal. You're at a point in time where you have an aspect where you can do new things with metal. Well, that wasn't really a thing before. So now we start having metal and we start applying pressure to it. And now you enter mechanization. Well, that's new. That was new. So you're really kind of lucky that at this time in history, you came along in the right place at the right time on the right side of the earth to be able to capitalize on that. And here comes so-called industrialization. So it wasn't because you were so genius. It's not like if you had been here 200 years earlier that you would have been able to do this. No, you just were in the right place at the right time with the right amount of barbarism. Oh yeah, and once again, that was not enough. You still needed the slaves. You brought over indentured servants, you had industrialization, and you still needed slaves. Industrialization would not have worked if you did not have a slave workforce. Immigrants, indentured servants, nothing filled the gap. Without the slaves, this doesn't work. You tried it. It didn't work because it couldn't. Industrialization did not decrease the demand for slaves. Industrialization increased the demand for slavery. which is why they were going to war with their newly founded industrial instruments to keep that slave thing going. If slavery was so inconsequential, they would have industrialized and said, yeah, we don't need slaves anymore. It's not worth going to war over because we don't need slaves anymore. Oh boy. So America, because of slavery, gets the jump on everybody else for industrialization. Everybody else is heavy in debt after centuries of warring. And there's America that really didn't have to do all that. Now we get into the 20th century and America takes a page out of Rome's playbook and goes around and steals everybody else's wealth. We're going to go head on down into Mexico. Oh, look at Texas. Got to get that. New Mexico and all the way over to California. Let me get that. Let me grab that right quick. First they your rings, now they my rings. Oh, the Virgin Islands, let me get that. Let me get that. Tell me what you built there. Tell me how you built an island. Those islands were already there. What you did was shoplift them. So let me get that. Anything and everything we can take. We taking everything ain't bolted down. Well, that's what Rome did. That's not ingenuity. That's just good old-fashioned theft. That's good old-fashioned gangsterism. All the way up to Hawaii. Let me get this island and this one over here. Let me get these. I got to get that. Then started going around the world. Let me grab Tahiti over here. Let me get this over here. Oh, the Philippines. Y'all look kind of cute. Let me see if I can get that and hold that. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. Okay, you're leaving out that part right there. That part's kind of important. Because you got folks thinking that you built something and you didn't talk about no, we just went in and snatched the resources. We just gangsterism. We did not create the Louisiana Purchase of the land. We came in and gangstered it. We're going to grab that. We tried to take Canada. That didn't work out so well. Oh, okay. Tell me what part of innovation it was when you tried to take Canada. You all need to go read your history books about that. Yeah, they tried that. Yeah, that didn't go so well. The borders that the nation of North America has today, that's the result of some failed attempts to expand north and south. Not because they just decided, let's not do that. No, America tried to push its way into Mexico. That didn't work. They tried to gangster their way up into Canada. That didn't work either. They tried that. However, now, because of colonialism and expansionism, the number of places that you can go and gangster your way through was dwindling very quickly. So all the places that were up for grabs to go gangster and grab, you kind of ran out of those. Now you see America involving itself in the European wars. World War I, World War II. And World War II is where everything changes. Because you see, America sent men and equipment to Europe and Japan. And you all need to remember this one critical piece. At the end of World War II, Europe and Russia, all those areas, Britain, they lay in ruins. Understand that they had been flattened to the ground. Europe, Great Britain, parts of Northern Africa, Russia, they were leveled. They were broken down to the bare bones. They were knocked down to the ground. They had been bombed into the Stone Ages. Their industrial centers, gone. Their commercial centers, gone. The countries had been leveled. But not North America. Remember those two oceans I told you about? Well, North America was safely tucked away from all of that. That wasn't ingenuity. You didn't get to put that much distance between you and Europe because you were brilliant. That was a fluke of geography. You were just lucky enough that you were so far away that nobody could bomb you. So when it was over, America was the only one whose economy and industrial base had left unscathed. It was the only one that was ready to keep rocking as soon as the bomb stopped dropping. America was the only one with anything left. Their economy intact, industrial base intact, economic centers intact. North America was untouched. And so while everybody else spent the next 2 decades rebuilding their nations, America was the only place that was ready to hit the ground running. So all the money, all the investment in Europe, all these other places, they came to North America because it was the only one ready to hit the ground running. So all the war profiteers and everybody else, you got to come on over here if you're going to get it cracking. North America's ready to hit the ground running today. And that's exactly what they did. Here come the Rothschilds. Here come all the old money. Here come they bundled them up in their banks and their trusts. Here come the Germans. Hell, here come the Nazis. What? Here come the Nazis. Here comes President Kennedy rolling out the red carpet for the Nazis. We wouldn't want to lose that rocket technology now, would we? Operation Paperclip. We wouldn't want to lose that rocket technology, so America got to cherry pick all the juiciest choice cuts. There was nobody else there, and America got to choose all the nice juicy cuts. That wasn't ingenuity. You get to Bretton Woods because your competition has spent the previous couple of decades bombing each other into matchboxes. That's not your ingenuity. If America were as close to Europe as Great Britain is, North America would look the same. North America had a head start on them coming out of World War II because they had an industrialized economy that was still functional. Everybody else was stuck having to rebuild theirs. That's the reality, not your white supremacist origin myth. And then you take a look at how long it lasted. Because how long did it take the rest of the world to catch up and then surpass you? Hey, Dale the dummy. How long did it take the remainder of the world to catch up and then surpass you? Japan. Japan did it in a couple of decades, not a couple of centuries. China, the Middle East. It didn't take them centuries to catch up to you. It took decades to catch up and in many cases to surpass you. And you're still telling this lie about that. Folks, would anybody compare American engineers to German engineers? The last time an American engineers had outstripped German engineers was at the very beginning of the 20th century. After World War I, German engineers lead the pack and never look back. I'm not sitting up here being anti-American. That's just a statistical anatomical fact. You cannot compare what the Germans did engineering-wise. Interstates, jet technology, rocket technology, we can go down the list. These were things that America had no clue you could do and didn't try to investigate it. How about the Russians? Hey, from the best and brightest here with his creation myth. By the way, you want to talk about the best and brightest? I got questions for you here. Who was the first to put a man in orbit? Yeah, the Germans pioneered the rockets. The Americans got the German scientists. The Russians did neither and were the first to put an object, a creature, and a man in space. Or are you going to claim that America is responsible for that too? Is he now going to claim that America is responsible for that too? Explain that one. Asking for a friend. They did that without America or the Germans, essentially speaking. Explain that one. Dale doesn't seem to have much to say now. All right. We can keep going. Folks, do you realize the technological achievements of the Soviets without a capitalist system, by the way? You don't really want to get into that one either. They were dynamos in their own time. Everything from the AK-47 to near-field communication. You have the Russians to thank for that. We already covered that before. Your credit card tapped to purchase. The Russians were the ones who made that. True, it was an artifact of warfare, but by the way, America, its scientists, its CIA, its industrial, they had no idea that that scientific principle even existed. This is way after the Germans in World War II and putting into space and rocket technology, way after televisions. The Russians were already pioneering those things. They were already aware. And they're not done yet either, by the way. The only thing is that their society was not based on capitalism. How much money could the Russians have made if they had capitalized on near-field technology back in the 70s when they first made it? You all lament what happened to Kodak because they made digital pictures back in the 70s. Kodak had the technology for digital pictures back in the 70s and didn't use it because it would have cannibalized their paper photo business. What if the Russians had a capitalist society and it actually leveraged near-field communication back in the 70s? Where would they be today as a global power in the global economy? Where would they be today if they had done that? Asking for a friend. Okay. I bring all this up to let you know that, by the way, he's spinning a yarn here. He's spinning a yarn here of things that did not happen and did not occur. He's subscribing all these highfalutin titles to it to rally the troops, but these are not things that actually occurred. It's all intended to rally white society, and here's the problem. You don't rally... Barbarism is what rallies white supremacists, and even them, they're cowards. They don't fight for anything. They try to send other people out there to do it. People aren't motivated by barbarism. They're looking, you see, the issue was that when you all talked about George Washington back in the day, I'm talking about to the white supremacists, do you realize the terms that they couched him in? They talked about George Washington and the cherry tree and Honest Abe Lincoln, I cannot tell a lie. And they talked about the founders as being fine, upstanding, honorable men who would never tell a lie, always help little old ladies cross the street, and aspired to the best ideals of mankind. That was what they sold for the previous 240 years. That. But you see, the word has gotten out. Now they've decided, well, let's see if we can make a different narrative here. We want people to be proud, not of fine, upstanding, honest Christian Bible salesmen. We want the people to be proud of slaughter, death, conquest. So you go from being Christian missionaries to being the Klingon Empire. and you're trying to motivate people to be proud of barbarism. We're proud to be the bad guys. We're proud to be killers. We're proud of that. Kyle Rittenhouse is our paragon of virtue. Now, well, that doesn't rally people. I mean, that white supremacists who are evil by nature, I mean, that does great things for you, but that doesn't do anything for anybody else. They're not sitting there proud of that. They don't look at Kyle Rittenhouse as a good thing. They're not inspired by him. They don't look at Daniel Penny as a good thing. They don't look at George Zimmerman as a good thing. These are the bad guys. They don't sit there in their dreams when they fantasize about themselves, about the idealized version of themselves. Daniel Penny ain't it. Putting people in slavery and in chains, that's not the hero, that's the villain of the story. He's trying to sit up here and brainwash you and make you think that the heroes of the story put people in slave chains and poison them and give them diseases. He's telling you that that's being a hero. Those are the good guys. That doesn't work. Let me explain something to you here, Dale. Let me explain something to you. First of all, here's where you're screwing up, Daly. Daly boy, here's where you're screwing up. You see, you're not going to get white women to toe the line. You're not going to get them to fall in line when you're sitting up here telling them that their whole purpose here is that they're here for you to tell them what to do. They're not here for that. You see, they're looking for freedom. And white women know one thing for certain. Oh, they don't want to hear this right here. They don't want to hear this right here, man. White women know one thing for certain. There has never been a black person, particularly never been a black male, who has ever oppressed them, suppressed them, imprisoned them, robbed them of resources. There's never been a black male who's ever done that. She doesn't have that story about her life. She doesn't have stories about black men telling her what she can't be, what she can't do, what she can't have. As a matter of fact, her stories from us are precisely the opposite. Black men are a source of empowerment. White women know that if the white men don't appreciate them, they know where they can go for that. You can say whatever you want to about that, but white women don't have any stories of black oppression. There are no black men who seek to make white women feel less than. They don't have those stories, not about us. They don't have that upbringing, not about us. So you see, a black male might have an issue with some of what he's seeing on here, but it's not going to be the same issue this guy got. A white woman does not expect black men to come up to her and tell her what she can and cannot do. Now, who do you think she's going to listen to? Who do you think she's going to be receptive to? You want to talk about empowerment? White girls know full well whether it's the marching band, music videos, or whatever. Let's just call it what it is. You've had more black males make music for white women than the white men have.
And deal with it.
You have had more black men make music that white women can get down for than white men have made for them. She knows that. She knows that if she comes among black people, she will just be accepted as she is. No pretenses, no mother may I, no faking being leave it to beaver. She can just be accepted as who and what she is. She ain't got that with you. She knows she doesn't have that. Take a look at that. The moment that there's something that does resonate with her, the first thing that this guy does is try to be her daddy and judge her. She's wearing a wedding dress, first of all, folks. Let's be clear here. She's wearing a whole wedding dress. She's wearing a whole wedding dress. I don't know if you call... First of all, I don't know if I call this twerking. That's the first thing. I don't know if I call this that. I really don't. But it looks like he's a guy who's unhappy to see people having a good time. He wants you to sit there and sing his white supremacist Bible verses, and you're supposed to be okay with that. He wants you to be okay with that. As a musician, I would be remiss if I did not remind you all of something. By the way, this white supremacist lowlife is upset because white chicks don't want what he's offering. But I want to remind you all of something. Do you know who was the most villainously vulgar, pornographic, absolutely disgusting musician that I've probably ever heard? Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. What? You can go look that one up for yourselves. You can go look that one up for yourselves. Oh, man. You all can go look that one up for yourselves. Wolfgang Mozart wrote several, I can't even talk about what they were doing, people. I can't even tell you the lyrics. All I can say is, you talk about groceries? Look it up for yourselves. You all right now, here is your, I'm going to go to a commercial, non-commercial break. Everybody here is invited to go to Google right now, and you can just type in Amadeus Mozart vulgar songs. Mozart vulgar music. And brace yourself for the results that you're about to see come up. If anybody wants to doubt me, yes, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, you can type him into Google and type in vulgar songs. And I'm talking about, we're not talking about just suggestive or racy. We talking about full-fledged, triple X rated pornographic, nasty, deviant, beyond Cardi B. And I'm not making it up. Beyond Cardi B. You all can go to Google right now. I'm going to give you a few minutes to go do that just so you can fact check me. Way before you had recorded music. Oh, some of y'all, it looks like some of y'all already found it. Damn! Yeah, it looks like some of y'all already found it. Some of them in here looks like you already found it. Yeah! We're talking about Mozart, people. Way before we created American music. You need to go and take a look at what Mozart made whole songs about. Now, would you like to hear it get worse? You can look up videos on YouTube where they have minors singing those songs. What? You can go to YouTube right now and you can find videos of minors singing Amadeus's dirty songs. You can find it on YouTube right now. Right now. while Dale the Dunce is worried about this. But by the way, you want to talk about y'all's history? Oh, you don't want to get into that discussion with Jason Black. You don't want to do this with me. Not with me. I'm a formally trained musician. I was taught all these things, but I didn't just learn their songs. I learned about the men. I didn't learn about tertiary things like, oh, who came from here, who came from what. It's like, no, I looked in their music. You want to talk about classical music? You want to talk about the classics? Ask yourselves why all these people who told you about Brahms and Mozart and all these people, ask why they never told you that Jason told y'all that, by the way, Mozart actually got some songs that should come with explicit lyric label. Explain to me why they never taught you about that. That tonight is the first time that many of you heard this or were aware that Mozart had pornographic, I'm talking about dirty, filthy, beyond Two Live Crew. I'm not making it up. Some of y'all have already found it and found, oh my goodness, this is straight up Epstein Island. Mozart wrote some songs that were worthy of Epstein Island. I'm not exaggerating. So you'll have an opportunity to go ahead and take a look into that for yourselves if you want to try to prove me wrong. I'll give you a few minutes here. We're going to take a break and let you go ahead and review that. Prove Jason wrong. Prove I'm lying. Prove I'm making it up. Shouldn't be that hard to do it. Just take a very brief Google search and then you can see exactly what it was, and then come back and tell me that rap music polluted things. It's the niggers polluted things. Okay, let me show you some of Mozart, and then we're going to come back and you're going to tell me that black folk have polluted things. You're going to tell me that we're the problem. There's a lot of y'all tonight, you just got a great, what I just gave you is not firepower. What I gave you is a thermonuclear truth bomb that you'll be able to use for the rest of your days if anybody tries to shame you. So you're welcome from the haven of intelligent black thought. Oh no, they don't. There's a reason why they would never bring me on one of their programs. They would never let me within 10 miles of their studio because they know it's going to take me exactly 10 seconds to decapitate everything. It doesn't matter what angle you try to attack us from. I'm ready. So there's a reason why certain folk like me can't get nowhere near them. They make sure to let anybody in except him. Schedule a debate with anybody except him. Don't bring him. So now you have a whole new view of Mozart. Oh yeah, one more thing. He's not the only one. What? By the way, one more thing, folks. Mozart was not the only one. That is your homework assignment. If you think Mozart was the only one, you're wrong. So I just dropped that great big huge one in your laps. Why don't you go see if you can find some of the others? While you're doing that, let me thank everyone who has contributed to Sport Night's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out to Nancy King. Thank you very much for your support, nice sister. We appreciate that there as always. Shout out here to Bruce Warren as well. We definitely appreciate that. Also to Ray the King. Everybody's on deck here tonight. Third Eye Open. Thank you very much for your support here tonight as well. My man, Mr. Richburg. Big shout out to y'all. You're here on the weekend. We appreciate that as always. Mark B and all the rest of you. Tom Slick, thank y'all very much for your support. To everybody who's out here showing up here tonight. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. You can go ahead and look those things up in the meantime. See if you can prove me wrong. And then I got something extra to go ahead and show you all here in just a little bit. This is the Black Channel.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. Got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright, shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house, breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we repping the gains. Used to be the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And yeah, it looks like a bunch of y'all went to go take a look into some of the stuff I was talking about there and finding out I'll be damned. Your classical music with some classical raunch to it there, but they don't talk to you about that part. They only talk to you about you. Because they need a scapegoat. But they're not talking about them. So let's go ahead and load up the Zoom here. We'll go ahead and load up the Zoom there on the chat room for you all. So the Zoom is open. You are more than welcome to go ahead and take a look at that for us here. Y'all, while I'm sifting through that, I would be remiss if I didn't play this. Probably the craziest video that you are going to see this month. Forget this week. People, the model minorities, what in the hell is going on? They had some Mexicans out there roofing on somebody's house, and the roofing turned to beefing. And I mean, it's a squad. It's like the Royal Rumble. Now, first of all, did you just see what just happened here? He beating the dude, and then he throws him off the roof. Do you see that? He grabs the dude, and then it's like, I mean, that's the first thing that you notice. I mean, it's damn me Hell in a Cell. He threw his ass right off the top of the cage. And you figured it was over, but the other two fellas are fighting. These on the right-hand side of the screen, you can barely see them because you see the first one get thrown like Mick Foley off the top of the cage versus The Undertaker. But then you see the other fella over here, and I mean, just fell straight off the truck. Now, I think there's some kind of pan or catcher here, but still one of them went down to the damn ground. I mean, like a damn movie. Straight off the damn thing they go. So this guy throw this fella off, and then the other fellas are over here fighting, and they go off the damn thing, and they hit the ground. Did you see the way they hit? Damn! I mean, they hit the damn ground and just get back up chunking. I mean, they hit the ground, I mean, without missing a beat. He's like, oh, damn, falling off a house. I'm on your ass. So, I mean, they did not give a damn. He said he ain't going to let a little thing like falling off a house stop him. He said, oh, no, I'm bringing your ass. I'm not going to let a little thing like falling off a house keep me from getting on your ass. I'm not going to let that get in my way at all. I don't know why he trying to break them up, man, if you don't leave them alone. So I don't know if they family or whatever, because was this the first dude who just threw the other fella off the house? Or was he number one fell off the house and is he coming over to help? So was he the one who was on the roof? Okay, there's another fella over here coming down the ladder, so I don't know who is who. Okay, there's a fella in the hat. Okay, the fella in the hat. Yeah, hey, you the first one. The fella in the hat is up on top of the roof. He threw this fella off. Y'all two fell over here. The fella in the hat comes down the ladder. How you gonna be the referee and you one of the crooked fellas in the room? You just threw a fella off the damn roof. He just threw a fella off the roof and now he coming over to play peacemaker. Oh, that's the dude you just fell off the roof, just caught up with you. This is an awkward social situation. Hey, y'all, this is an awkward social situation. The fella he just threw off the roof, that's over here. Yeah, the fella he just threw off the roof, the fella in the hat, the little dude, I guess he don't want no more smoke, but didn't I just throw your ass off the roof? You sure you want more smoke? I just threw you off the damn roof, didn't I? That's an awkward ass conversation, isn't it? I just threw your ass off the damn roof. Some of y'all have met some people in life you never thought you'd meet again. Do you think you'd ever meet the person who threw you off a roof again?
Nigga, what?
I've had some awkward run-ins with people, but I've never met the person who threw me off a roof for the second time. I've never met them for the second time. So it's, and okay. So I'm just like, all right. Okay. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, first of all, I'm pretty sure that we're beyond assault here. I don't think you can throw somebody off of a roof and that's a misdemeanor. Folks, I don't think throwing somebody off the roof is a misdemeanor. I am almost certain that that does not qualify as a misdemeanor. You show that video to the judge. Well, Your Honor, you see what happened was, I mean, that was deliberate. He shoved the hell out of him. He's like, get your ass up out of here, boss. And then the other fellas, they done fell off the house like damn me Royal Rumble, like the Hardy Boys. And I mean, still at it. Okay. This what y'all bringing across the border? This what y'all bringing across the border now. So, yeah, y'all seen niggas do some things. You ain't, and that's the other part of it. Like, you get into it with some black folk and the conversation, can you dodge bullets? That's how it is with black folk. Can you dodge bullets? Man, with these Mexicans, like, nigga, can you fly?
Nigga, please.
Yeah, man, you get into it with black folk and the conversation is, can you dodge bullets? Man, you start fighting with them Mexicans and they like, nigga, can you fly? I hope your ass got wings because you about to need them. And we ain't bull jiving. Yes, sir. We ain't playing about nothing. That's all damn bullets. Can your ass fly? You about to be Tweety Bird. I'm sending your ass to the shadow realm today. And I know some of us as men, you know, we think about working on houses and working on roofs. That's your worst damn nightmare. I'd have PTSD. Man, I would have so much PTSD after the day you working on the roof and your ass actually got thrown off of it today. Not just fell off, but thrown off. I'd have PTSD. I would never come near another roof again. I'd be living in a bunker somewhere. I'd be living in something ain't got no roof. I got to have a ladder to get me up. I'd be living in a silo. I would never live with something with a roof again if I got thrown off of one. First time, last time. all the way to the ground. I'd be like, if I live through this, I ain't never gonna come near a roof again. Yes, if I live through this experience, this fella over here, if I live through this, Lord, oh man, y'all see him off the side of the roof. If I live through this, I ain't never coming near a roof again. Never in life. You won't never have to tell me not to do this again. Y'all won't be able to find me and get me off of one. So, yeah, a lot of y'all thought you had a rough job. Imagine working for this crew. A lot of y'all thought you had a rough job. Imagine working for this crew. You ain't never had a job. Where the hell is OSHA?
Damn!
Where the hell is OSHA? While y'all sitting up here talking about black folk and domestic disturbance and disturbing the peace and noise, where the hell is OSHA? I mean, this is straight out the WWE. Y'all have had some wild incidents at your job site. You ain't had nothing like these immigrants. Hey, y'all, I'm just telling you. Some of y'all ain't gonna like this, but there's some folk, I'm like, some of them, I think they think they ready for the race war. Can you imagine this? Hey, y'all, if the race war jump off, do we gotta fight these fellas here too? Hey, y'all, if the race war jumps off, do we gotta fight these four guys too? Cause we just threw three of them off a roof and they still punching. So it's like, I'm not so sure. I mean, they just shook that off like it was nothing. So it's, hey y'all, if the race war go down, we gotta fight these four fellas over here too? I mean, the rest of them is one thing, but hey y'all, are they bringing these three? Are they bringing these three, or these three gonna stay home? Because if the race war kick off and these three show up, I'm like, okay, we was good there for a minute, but these three show up and it's like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know about it right now. I see the three of them. It's like, wait a minute. Oh, let me get the candy bar. Let me get the candy bar right. I saw you fellas on Twitter. Oh, no. He can get thrown off a whole damn house and he just get right back up chunking. Okay. We ain't talking about no little stuff. I mean, he threw his ass right off the house. Okay. Now here they come talking about they the backup. I'm like, all right. Nah, bring some others. Bring some others. Don't bring these three. Bring some others. Oh, workers' comp? No, man, the insurance company is like, oh, hell no. We ain't paying a damn claim today. No. The other thing is, take a look at that truck, man. Life with these fellas is just rough. Do y'all see that truck? I mean, that truck, the truck bed, everything is raggedy. Everything is raggedy. These fellas getting paid $2 an hour. What? The truck is raggedy. The bed is sagging. What you gonna do? Fire them? They getting $2 an hour. The truck is raggedy. They already at the bottom. No wonder they throwing blows, man. Oh, I bet you the fella with the hat is the damn foreman. I bet y'all the fella with the hat, I bet you he's the damn foreman. Okay, the damn foreman done threw the fella off the roof. Yeah, he's the fella wearing the hat. I bet you he's El Jefe. And the damn foreman done threw a fella off the roof. He's coming down the ladder to remind everybody that we're professionals, and you just threw a fella off the damn roof, man. Hey, y'all need to lighten up. Lighten up. You just threw me off a damn roof. Y'all, do you think I'm going to chill if somebody just threw me off a roof? Can you imagine the manager at your job talking about everybody needs to calm down? He just threw your ass off a roof. Talking about calm down. How many of y'all would be calm and the nigga just threw you off a damn roof? Then y'all need to calm down now. You take it easy. All right, man. Some folks is just, I don't land on grass. Okay, this grass, it ain't a trampoline. I drop your ass 15 feet. Well, you landed on the grass. Hey, these niggas landed on the damn driveway over here. These two over here, they didn't land on no grass. They landed on the damn driveway. So there wasn't no grass for them. Yeah, they like Aflac. What? The Aflac duck was like, yeah, the Aflac duck saw them and was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, Aflac, damn. Yeah, the Aflac duck is like, oh, wait a minute. No. Oh, we do not cover this. We're not even considering covering this one. So I just want to remind you all, the Muslim minorities are over here working way harder than us. Boy, imagine looking out your damn window talking about, I could use a roofer, and then seeing this. Well, they came highly recommended. I'm like, okay, I need a roofer, but and here's the thing, they probably came recommended by somebody. Somebody probably recommended them. Oh, they worked on my house. Everything was fine. Were they out there busting up everything like this at your house? Did they do this at your house? So on this 4th of July, I want y'all to understand this. We ain't never going to have a video like this. You're never going to see black folk with a video like this. I don't give a damn what job site it is. This is not a video that we will ever be featured in. So we'll be doing the most they're going to have us as folk fighting at Popeyes. It's like, okay, I'd rather have us fighting at Popeyes. I'm like, okay, a nigga done threw a damn drumstick. They throwing folk off roofs over here, man. Not just one. Because that would be a viral moment if you threw just the one guy. It's like everybody got threw off the damn roof today. Not just one person. It's like multiple people off a damn roof. No, take me back to Popeyes. You all think about if you woke up like in the Matrix or Dreamscape. Was that Christopher Nolan's Inception? You woke up, you came in the middle of a dream. Which one would you want to be in, y'all? The fight at Popeyes or the fight on top of a roof in July? If you had to just wake up at random in somebody's dream, which one you want, somebody's bad dream, which one would y'all want? Okay, you can either wake up at a random Popeyes or you can wake up at a fight on top of a roof. Which one you want? I want to know which one of y'all wants to be on the roof. That's the one I want. Which one of you chose the roof? I'll take the roof, Jason. Really? Yeah, the worst that'll happen with us is you be at a restaurant with folk acting a fool. Oh, these folk, they for real. Yeah, your ass is flying off this roof. Not tomorrow, today, right now. He didn't give a damn about workers' comp, injury, murder charges. What? He didn't give a damn about workers' comp, murder charges, or nothing. He was just like, your ass is going. I'm the foreman. Okay. Let me jump over here on Zoom right quick, man. Yeah, I want to know who wants to wake up during the fight on the roof. Who the hell is that? Which one of y'all wants that option? All right, Superpower Media, we got you here on Zoom, brother. What's on your mind?
Jason, give me Popeyes.
Dude, Popeyes, Waffle House, Carnival Cruise, whichever one of them. Not the roof, nigga. Not the roof. Boy, if you think about it, if that fella had fallen the wrong way, he could have landed on his head or whatever. You gone. So, I mean, dude, that was from something for real.
Jason, I grew up roofing. My dad we had our own company. I never seen nothing like this. I mean,
I'm about to say, how many niggas y'all throw off the roof over there?
They literally. Man, nobody. But check this out. They not lying when they say they work hard. That's working hard. You can actually go home and say, honey, I got my ass thrown off the roof. I work hard. You know?
I'd be like, heifer, don't you say a damn word to me for the rest of the damn year.
You throw a black man off the roof. Yeah, you throw a black man off the roof. Oh, we're gonna pop that trunk on your ass. It ain't no getting back into the fight. I'm going to my trunk. Get that.
Dude, I wish a heifer would be ungrateful after I got thrown off a damn roof to put food on the table. I wish you would be ungrateful after that. Heifer, baby, ain't nobody stepped on your toes to give me something. I got thrown off a damn roof. Oh, no, you better not never talk greasy to me in life. That's what I did to earn $1 today. What did you do this morning?
Man, and these white men running right here talking about they wrestling goose and moose and bears. Man, I've been seeing a lot of videos where they been getting chin checked, walking up on brothers with that craziness. And they always hollering they want a race war. We've been in a race war. We just waiting for them clowns to show up. When they gonna show? What year they gonna show up to the so-called race war?
No, they're gonna try to send the 4 Mexicans here. So that's what gonna be like. Hey, you look tough. Why don't you take my number? It'll be that one.
And Jason, if Jesus was alive today, with the message that he had, he'll find himself hanging in a tree. These people, these lunatics would kill Jesus today. So this is type of bloodline. I used to always think that racism was taught. No, it's in a bloodline. I don't care what nobody say. I used to thought it was taught, but it's in a bloodline, like a pit bull or something. These people will never be right. And like I said, they would kill Jesus today with the message that he had, with the peace message. He'll be out of here. Be one, Jason.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. We appreciate that. Yeah, man, y'all, they got the damn rumble on the roof. What? Yes, sir. You thought you had a tough job work site. Some of y'all thought you had a tough work site. You ain't never had one like this. You ain't never had a work site like this. Not where one person got thrown off the roof. Everybody's getting thrown off the roof. We can't just take the ladder. So, yeah, everybody got thrown off the roof today. Yeah, some of y'all have had some rough job sites. You've had some rough work environments. Some of y'all thought you thought it was hard for you working at Amazon's fulfillment center. They ain't throwing niggas off the roof at the fulfillment center. You might want to put your application back in. You might want to reconsider your resignation. They ain't throwing folk off the rooftop at the Amazon fulfillment center. At least Jeff Bezos can say that. Jeff is like, hey, we ain't throwing folk off the roof. Are you sure you don't want to stick around for 90 days? 'Cause I'm going to go to roofing. It's you might want to. Yeah, they doing Lucha Libre roofing. Yeah, you showed up at the Lucha Libre roofers. No wonder they're always hiring. Damn. Yeah, yo, I bet you his company stay with applications open. Yeah, buddy, I mean, fooling. We always hiring. We always got a position open. I see why. I see why. We need hard workers and whatnot. It's like, okay. You know, now getting that right up at your job doesn't seem so harsh now. You know, some of y'all, you got to write up at your job now. That doesn't seem so harsh anymore, does it? That seems downright mild. It's like, yeah, I got to write up today at work. I'm like, okay, it could be worse. I can show you some places where they doing more than just giving write-ups. Niggas in headlocks, thrown off the damn roof. I mean, they doing more than writing you up over. Man, look here. Yeah, what he say? We don't do write-ups over here. Yeah, we don't do write-ups and 3 strikes. We don't do none of that over here. You thought you was good. Oh, okay, these folks don't do write-ups. Okay, really? It's like, okay, now you see what they do. Well, have writers, we handle it ourselves. We handle it in-house. If we have issues, we handle it ourselves. Really? Yeah, we handle our issues ourselves. It's like Tony Soprano. Somebody said, did they get to finish the roofing job? What do you say? Did they ever finish the roof? Yeah, boys, I didn't know this. I hope the homeowners weren't home at the time, because I'd hate to see them looking out the damn window and seeing this damn riot outside the doors. And it's like, oh my goodness, I chose the absolute worst. Oh man, can you imagine the Yelp reviews?
Damn!
Oh, y'all, can you imagine the Yelp review for this job? Man, can you imagine what the Yelp review for this gonna look like? Oh, man. I bet you if I could give you -3 stars, I'd be doing this. They started out okay, and, well, how it started, how it's going. Okay, the worst. Not just one, y'all. It's just everybody getting thrown off the roof today. Hey, I bet you these two fellas up here are relieved, by the way. I bet you them other two fellas up top, I bet you they're relieved when they saw the foreman coming down the ladder. They're like, oh, good, he ain't coming over here. Yeah, they saw him go down the ladder. Yeah, you see he hopped over. Let me get my ass off the top of this house for I'm next. That would have been me right there. I see the foreman, yeah, the felony foreman, he's climbing down. Yeah, let me get on off this roof right quick. Let me get off this roof while he's distracted. Okay, I think I can sneak my way down. Let me see if I can sneak my way down while he's distracted. All right, I think they got his attention. Let me sneak on down here, because he done threw 3 folk off the roof. I think I can sneak out. Let me put in my application down the street. All right, we got Brandon over here on Zoom. Brandon, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Jason? Nice broadcast tonight, man. I had to touch on the Nick Fuentes situation, man. You already know what that's about, man. You know, they say, I don't know how to say it, Jason. Well, the myth is that the black man is three-legged, if you know what I mean. And yeah, that's pretty much what it is, man. That's why they always ask the you notice the white man always ask the black female, not black female, white females, I'm sorry, man, these firecrackers on and off and stuff, but they always ask, have you been with a black man? They always ask them that question. Every time, all the time, and it never fails and stuff. And you see it on the internet, you see it everywhere, and I don't know, man, what's your thought on that?
I think that where there's smoke, there's fire. Thank you for giving us a call tonight, brother. Okay, so let me let him go ahead and get wound down. Okay, that's as good enough a sign as any. I need to go ahead and turn off the phone lines. Let me go ahead and do that. So yeah, y'all. You've had some rough job sites. You ain't had nothing like this. Lucha Libre Roofing. Okay. Go put your application back in down there at Firestone. Go do that. Lessons learned here tonight, folks. Lessons learned here on the 4th of July. lessons learned here tonight. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight for you all. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, as you obviously see, some days in between. So click that subscribe button and that notification button. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work at blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.